What's going on my fantasy basketball managers? Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Waiver Queen. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you 3 players I love for the upcoming fantasy basketball season. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great content which is going to help you prepare for the upcoming season. Let's talk about these 3 players I simply love this year. We're going to start this thing off with Christian Wood, center with the Dallas Mavs. I'll tell you this was a great trade for the Mavs and a great trade for Christian Wood. He's going to be playing for a playoff team, and the offensive scheme is much better than Houston. And again, Houston's in rebuild mode. And then you're playing with Luka, who's going to get you the basketball. Luka's going to average a triple-double, right? This season, he's going to average a triple-double, and he's going to make sure that Christian Wood is set up in position to score some easy baskets. This was a great move for Wood. Instantly, I could see him averaging between 17 and 20 points. Let's talk about what he did in the past season. He averaged 17.9 points per game, shot over 50% from the field, 39% from threes, which is very good. He has a very nice jump shot. He shot 62.3% from the free throw line, and he averaged 10.1 rebounds and a block. That is very good production. This is going to be the best big they've had in a few seasons. Can't count Porzingis because, in and out of the lineup. Christian Wood is the real deal and a very good player for the Mavs to have acquired via trade. And again, I expect this to probably be Christian Wood's best season statistically because he has the factors of playing on a playoff team, a very good offensive scheme, and you're playing with Luka, who's going to get him the ball. So if you can draft Christian Wood, please do so. This is a great move if you do pick him up in your draft. Another player who I simply love this year is Tyrese Haliburton, guard with the Pacers. The Knicks should have drafted him. They really should have drafted him. This young man is very, very good, and he is going to benefit from being the full-time starter this year for the Pacers. They're in rebuild mode, so they don't have a lot of talent around him. So he is going to have a lot of opportunities to score the ball and hopefully be able to get some of the other players involved, like Miles Turner, if Miles stays with the Pacers. You hear a lot of trade rumors, so, you have to take that into consideration. But for Tyrese, this should be his best season statistically in his young NBA career. Last season, he played 77 games. He averaged 15.3 points per game. He shot 47.3% from the field. He shot 84.2% from the free throw line, over 41% from threes, which is very good. He's a very good shooter, has a nice stroke from the field. He averaged 4 rebounds, 8.2 assists, and 2.6 turnovers per game, and a little over 1 steal per game. He's a solid young defender too, and is only going to get better defensively. He is one of those players you can look at and say, oh, he has the potential to be a two-way player. And you already know I love two-way players because they're going to do multiple things and stuff the stat sheet. They're going to probably score the ball, get you rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. They're going to do a lot. And based on his field goal percentages, he is going to be efficient from the field. So if you were to draft Tyrese a few, like 2 rounds earlier, it'll pay off because I do believe, again, this is going to be his best season in the NBA. And my final player on this list, it's a little wild card. It's Kelton Johnson, guard/forward with the San Antonio Spurs. He was coming off of a career year this past season, and now you got to take into consideration that DeJounte Murray was traded. They're in rebuild mode. He's going to get more opportunities. They don't have anyone else, right? They have other players, but no one like DeJounte Murray, because again, being in rebuild mode, they're embracing the rebuild, which is good. But Kelton Johnson, again, is going to have the chance to at least score 20 plus points a game. And I can see it happening, okay? he averaged over 17 points this past season with someone like DeJounte Murray. And again, I can anticipate him pushing that up to 20. So 75 games he played last year. He shot 46.6% from the field, which is very good. Shot 39.8% from threes, which is solid. Very good for a young player. He shot 75.6% from the free throw line, averaged 6.1 rebounds, a little over 2 assists, and a little over 1 turnovers per game. So this young man is definitely on his way. Again, one of the biggest factors, he has the opportunities to increase his scoring totals. So if you can draft Kelton Johnson, you don't have to reach for him. You need to do so. He's a player that you most likely picked up off of waivers last year. But again, due to the full rebuild and not having the talent, because he's probably right now their best player. You want the best player, right? Yes, you do want the best player on NBA teams. And he right now is that guy, and is going to have the chance to have a special season. So if you can draft Kelton Johnson, draft him. Don't wait until after the draft and he plays a few games and he's looking really good, and then you just decide to try to pick him up, because it may be too late for you at that point in time. All right, y'all, leave some comments and let me know your thoughts on my 3 players that I simply love for the upcoming fantasy basketball season. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Again, we have a lot of great content which will help you prepare for your upcoming fantasy basketball season.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.